What is going on? Hi. Welcome back, Abby Rabine. What's up?
Not much. Fun week so far. How about you? You were out fishing today?
Yeah. Before we get into that, this is our second podcast. The first podcast is going to be released tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm not going to give dates and stuff because we're going to confuse our audience. But yeah, this is it's exciting, man. So yeah, podcast number 2. So really cool, man. Got a few got a few things we're going to be talking about. Just going to walk the audience through that. But first, I want to give a shout out to the folks that support us.
Absolutely.
Because without them, without the audience, we wouldn't be here without the BIPOC community. Thank you so much. And on the business side of things, we have a lot of folks that support us, Abby. You know, we're going to first cheers to our to the Shells family. Salud. They make amazing beer. Grain Belt Premium, which is the friendly beer. Absolutely. The friendly beer. Salud. Ah, that is wonderful. So big shout out to all the folks at Shells. We got some exciting stuff coming down the pipeline with Shells. I want to say it so bad, but
you have to.
All right,
now
fine.
No hints. Okay,
I'll give you a hint. The Shells. So Shells is gonna be doing a lot of working together, doing a lot of the marketing side.
Sure.
We're gonna be giving away a lot of really cool stuff. Packages of like hats, hoodies,
sweet
beer, swag
during the podcast.
During the podcast, so it's going to be a deal where subscribe, share, and you automatically enter into a contest where you'll win stuff. Sweet. What that is, does it really matter? I mean, no. We're not gonna send you a pack of your old ramen noodle.
Right.
You know, we're not going to do that, you know. But it's going to be really cool stuff.
Sweet.
It's going to be really,
fishing
really
knowledge,
cool.
Cold beer.
Yeah, swag, free swag.
Can't
Can't go wrong with that. So, and check this out. This is really exciting for the folks watching the program. They get to win fishing trips with Bass Tech.
Wow.
With our company. Yeah, so they approached me and said, hey, we want to do this really cool marketing thing. Would you be open to it? I said, absolutely. Let's go.
So, okay, now you have to keep talking about it. Now you have to tell us all about it.
Fishing tips. I don't know too much of the details because literally my buddy Scott Hislop, I believe he's like a sales manager or sales director. He's in a leadership role at Shells Brewing. And he said, Ray, the family at Shells would love to collaborate. Like, we're already collaborating, but has this idea of getting folks winning a trip with you or your staff. And sweet. I was like, absolutely. I was like, let's go.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, so that I said, yeah,
you can't go wrong with that.
No, so we have to figure out the details. So more to come with that.
Okay, more to come with that. Yeah. But a chance to win a fishing trip, beer stuff, fishing stuff,
all kinds of stuff,
all the good stuff.
It's wonderful.
Win.
Cool. So big shout out to Shells. Hey, our buddy.
Oh man, Dream Smasher.
Yeah, Tom Campbell, T City, my boy, your boy, a good friend of ours. You know, if you haven't tried his baits, you're
missing out.
You're missing out. I mean, he makes incredible baits. He's a local guy. He's a local pro making local professional baits, specifically swim baits.
Absolutely. Winning tournaments on his own baits.
Winning tournaments on his own baits. And I don't know how many, he's been on a few magazines, a few articles and stuff. And he's just a phenomenal angler.
Phenomenal guy, phenomenal angler.
Great dad, great partner, just great friend, great partner to us. And we're going to be giving away some of his stuff too.
Oh, man.
So I'm thinking hats. I got to hit him up for some stuff. So, Tom, I'm going to be hitting you up, man. So, you know, yeah.
I mean, if there is a reason, I mean, every reason to sign in to listen to these podcasts.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, win free stuff. And we appreciate it. To us, it really, giving away stuff is awesome, but it also really, it helps us when folks subscribe.
Absolutely.
So when they subscribe, it really helps us. And it's not on the monetary side. We just want we want to build awareness. Abby, that's why we started this whole thing. It wasn't for money and all this stuff. No, it was to get awareness, to build trust, to build awareness, build education within the BIPOC community, fishing tactics, strategies, techniques, all for free.
Absolutely.
You don't have to subscribe. I mean, we don't sell subscriptions.
Right.
But please subscribe for free on YouTube.
Well, it helps with all the untouched communities.
Correct.
And so,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And that's exciting in itself.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Right. Last, I want to give a shout out to Joe's Sporting Goods.
They have a sale going on, right?
They had since Thursday and over the weekend. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today's the last day. Today's the 28th. And it was insane. I went there to buy a few things, and I think I went there on. Did I go on Wednesday? I don't remember. It was during the week.
Was it packed?
Oh, it was Friday. I went Friday afternoon. Excuse me. It was unbelievable. Like, it was crazy. It was like if you were going to like a Twins game or like a concert or something. Man. It was $200-$300 rods, 50% off.
Wow.
But you got a small window though. There was a small window. By the time people hear this, they're like, "Oh man, they didn't know about this."
No store has 50% off everything.
Some of them don't.
It's crazy.
I don't know. Like, so let's talk a little bit about that. So right now we're entering the time of year that we are going into the late summer. We're going to talk about that. I got my notes here. We're going to talk about late summer, early fall. But what comes with that, right? A lot of sales. So like, there's a lot of retailers out there. We partner with Joe's because they're local.
Right.
A lot of their staff is BIPOC from the Southeast Asian community.
Sure.
I mean, they have folks from all across the world, just all kinds of folks that work there, which is really cool. And, they're just, they're good people. The owners are really nice people. They're very supportive towards us. And
very cool.
Here's the thing. All the bait that we get for Bass Tech.
Oh, it's from Joe's?
It's from Joe's. Not only is it from Joe's, they actually donate a lot of that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so big shout out to them.
Absolutely.
They do a lot of really, really good in the community.
Well, it shows that that's important. I mean, it's not about the money like you said. It's about spreading awareness and education and
education
everything else.
And they're supportive. They don't talk about it. They are about it.
Right.
Anytime, like, big shout out to Doug Staley, the general manager. He's been so kind to us. He's been very supportive and donated a lot of baits, a lot of really cool stuff. So we're really blessed.
Absolutely.
We're
working toward the same goal.
Yes, absolutely. And we're very blessed to have them as a partner. So, and again, going back to those sales, not just Joe's, but you got other retailers. You got back to school. You got a lot of stuff going on, Abby. We got the State Fair. We got school starting pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Your kids are going to be starting school pretty soon here. Then you got football season. The Vikings are starting.
Labor Day weekend. Last cabin weekend.
Correct. Then we have the Twins possibly.
See if they can hold on this year.
They're two games behind Cleveland. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But here's what it comes down to. Why all that is important is there's going to be less people on lakes.
Which is good for
the angler.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good for the angler.
It's very exciting.
Good for your family because there's less crowds, less pressure on the fish.
And we haven't seen days like this all summer because everybody's been swarming the lakes on those boats.
Yeah, it's been nuts. It's been really crazy. So let's talk about that. Let's dive into it. Let's go into more fishing opportunities. And with so one of the things for me, like when I first moved here to Minnesota, 1998, I was a freshman in college at the University of Minnesota. I had some friends and they were like, "Bro, let's go out, let's go fishing, man." And I was like, "Man, I got class." And I think at the time I was taking like 14 or 18 credits. And it was hold on for a second. We're going to have to pause this real quick. Can you close that door right there? Thank you.
Was it? Oh, because this isn't.
Yeah, because I don't want it. Yeah. Thank you. That's good. Thank you. We're gonna and I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna. Yeah. I'm gonna do it.
I know how to do it.
10. I'm gonna put 10-minute edit.
So this one isn't live, right?
No, it's not live. It's not live. All right. Hold on. Okay. When I was telling you the story about being at the U, and I was taking a lot of credits. My buddy invited me to go fishing on Tonka, and we had gone before, and I said, "Oh man, I didn't want to because it's so crowded."
Right.
Right. And you fish Tonka all the time.
So frustrating.
It's crazy. And I was like, and he's like, "Come on, man." I was like, "All right, fine." I get out there, and there's nobody on the lake. I couldn't believe it. But it was right around, not around this time, but a little in September.
Sure.
It's after Labor Day, about a week or 2 weeks into September, and it was empty.
Oh,
and the weather was still nice. It was nice.
Right.
It was warm.
But distractions everywhere else.
Yeah, it was.
People can't get out there even if they wanted to. They have to go shopping, back to school, all that,
Well, people are getting their kids back into routine, and that's a big one. A lot of, and here's the other thing, hunting season.
Yes.
That's the other thing. We got dove season that's starting here in Thursday, here in Minnesota.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so morning dove. So morning dove's going to start. Then you got
the goose.
Yeah, goose later on. You got waterfall. I mean, you got not turkey. Excuse me, pheasant opener. Then you got deer opener. So again, what does this mean?
Less people on the lake for us.
Less people on the lake, exactly.
And the fishing's getting hotter and hotter every single day.
Yes, it does get hot, and let's talk about that. Let's dive into it. So, let's talk metro fishing. Let's talk metro family fishing, because that's what and the theme here is late summer fishing.
Yep.
With your family, okay, in the metro area.
Absolutely.
All right, so we are all the audience. We're all on the same page.
Metro Lakes, family,
late summer.
There you go.
Let's go. All right, so what happens? Why is late summer fishing? This is not a rhetorical question. Why is it so good? Right. Well, we just stated some of prematurely. We said, or not prematurely, but before we stated that there's going to be less people on the water.
Right. Less pressure.
And that's important.
Absolutely.
That's really, really important. Less noise.
It's a game changer.
Commotion. It is. It's good. So let me ask you, Abby, what's your favorite? And we're specifically, because a lot of the folks that are watching our show, novice, beginner anglers, which are great. Sure. We all started somewhere, and that's what the focus of this show is.
Sure.
What's your, we're specifically going to be talking slip bobber systems. Bobber systems. Clip-on bobber, spring bobber, and slip bobber. What are some of your favorite techniques, and what do you like to be on the end of the line? What do you like to throw out there?
Late summer. I think slip bobber. I put my kids on slip bobbers, and
that's how they started.
Yeah. Yep. And just do a minnow or a leech. As the water gets cooler, I like to go to shiners. Mm-hmm. But now, since the water's still, what was it today? You said it was like 74.
Yeah.
So stick with something more hardy, like a sucker.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of our audience, they're going to be using worms, which is great.
Yeah.
You can catch anything on a worm.
On a juicy worm.
On anything. However, there are times where we're going to need to be more specific.
Sure.
You just stated shiners. Well, why are shiners so important? Let's talk about where can you buy them, right?
You can buy shiners pretty much at any bait store. They're on the more expensive end. They're
probably
about $1 each. So unless you're going for a specific species or the water temps around 50, you don't really want to waste 60, your money on that. Yeah.
So you're looking at a dozen. That's $12.
Yes.
That's
yes.
And here's the other thing: keeping it alive.
Yep. And even if you keep it alive, if the water temp in the lake, if you put it in the lake, it's not going to be a happy fish. So.
Yeah. Well, how do you keep them alive? Well, there's a couple different ways, right?
Oh yeah.
You use your minnow bucket.
And which one? You have a nice one, the Frey Bill.
I got the Frey Bill, but that Frey Bill is really good. Shout out to Frey Bill for making such a great product. But that live well, it's like a live well box. It's like a cooler, and it has a net inside of it that's removable. But it has a pack at the very top, and it has low and high, and it has oxygen that's pumped into the water, which is awesome.
It's awesome.
It's really keeps bait really lively. And you know, one of the things that I want to tell the audience as beginning anglers is when you go out fishing, a lot of folks do not take care of their bait really well.
And you know, at the end of the day, bait's expensive if you don't.
It is. And worms, you do not like earthworms. They are super sensitive to sunlight. You ever see an earthworm put in the sun and they squirm like crazy, man.
Right.
And they want to get back into that dirt, that cold dirt, you know. And I see this a lot when I go to docks. I go to a dock and I'm looking. We do a lot of programming, right? So we know this. We look down and there's an angler with their worms opened up,
just sitting in the sunlight.
In the sun, and it's like 80, 90 degrees, and it's like you have to take better care of your bait because it is going to deteriorate. It's just gonna break down, and it's not gonna be very efficient. It's just not good.
Right.
So what I suggest, or we suggest here at Bass Tech, and we practice this ourselves, get a small little cooler, get some ice packs, keep it cold, keep it out of the sun. Even if you don't have it in ice packs, keep it in the shade.
It's easier to carry like that anyway than carrying those little containers anyway. Mm-hmm. And you can use it for more than one trip. Especially if you're bringing kids. I mean, you don't want to have to buy, worms every single time.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. Let's just say we actually use all kinds of different bait. We use waxworms, earthworms. We do not use minnows yet. We'll get in. I just feel like sometimes they're really hard to use.
Yeah, not late summer, more fall.
Yeah, right, exactly. But early spring. I know a lot of anglers like for crappie minnows and stuff. But we'll do a show on that later, maybe next year. Because again, we're in late summer, going into early fall. So that's why we're bringing this up. But going back to live bait. Let's just say you don't have live bait, but can't afford it. Go to the dollar store and get yourself a bag of frozen vegetables.
We always use corn.
Yeah, you can use corn. Yeah, that works great. That works really well. That's super cheap.
Yeah.
No problem. What's another bait? What's other bait? Dough.
I've never used dough.
Moldy bread. Just take the mold out.
Okay.
And tighten it up, put it on the hook, throw that out. I've seen a lot of people catch carp on it. There's a multitude of ways that you can catch fish. You don't need expensive stuff. You don't need, $5 sucker, you know, or these expensive minnows. You don't. We for our programs. Remember last time we were using.
What were you? Waxworms. Oh no, earthworms.
We were using both, but then we brought out the artificial.
Oh, that's right.
The Berkeley, gulp. The gulp. Yeah, the Berkeley gulp. And what is that? Well, let's talk about that. They're like little nuggets. They're very, very small. They call them crappie nuggets. They call them, corn. They have that stuff. It works.
And it has scent soaked in the scent.
It's unbelievable. Scientifically proven. They have. They don't have anglers working on it. They have scientists.
Oh, yeah.
In fish tanks, like testing this stuff. Let's put more of this. Let's put more of that. Less of this. Less of that. More of that. And it's incredible.
And it's nice when we're talking about family fishing with that. Those little nuggets tend to stay on the hook a little longer than maybe like a waxworm, especially for kids.
Right.
So you're not rebaiting the hook quite as much.
Right,
but
absolutely.
Still getting just as many bites.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's you get I don't even know how many of those little nuggets are in that. It's a little jar. I want to say a couple hundred. Man.
It'll last you a good, and like you said, not only does that save the money if you take care of your bait and buy stuff like that, but it decreases the trips that you have to make before you go out on the lake. You don't want to stop at the bait store every before you go out on the lake every time.
Right.
It takes time away from the lake.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the other thing too is, and we'll do another specific show about this, and I'm going to bring someone on who is specialized more in fly fishing. Although we all fly fish here, our specialty is more on the freshwater fishing, but not fly fishing, because fly fishing is a different deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like playing hockey and being a figure skater. You're both on the ice, but you're doing way
Totally
different things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, completely different kind of fishing.
I can't wait for that one. That's gonna be an awesome
we
one.
have a couple folks that bring out, but remember we were using flies, and not flies that you're swatting at, dry flies.
Man, I wish we had, so just like basically just a little hook with a little,
Yeah.
yep. The artificial.
They're really tiny, and those flies, you don't need to do anything.
Nope.
Just tie them on, drop them in the water with your bobber.
Just, yep.
What people don't realize about these dry flies, like when you take a microscope and you take water, if the microscope was big enough where you can see into the water with the microscope, you'll see microorganisms. And those microorganisms look like those flies.
Sure.
Or there's just mayflies, or there's dragonflies, mosquito larvae. There's all kinds of stuff that matches, we call match the hatch, right?
And I remember when we were out last time, you noticed that, these fish are biting. We put stuff in and just plain hooks first, but you noticed right away that they were eating the insects.
Yeah,
so
they
you
were.
switched to the fly.
And they were catching a bunch of
Yep.
them. And you can tell because the bluegills were like, bloop, bloop,
Yep.
bloop, bloop. And I looked down and they were just, bloop, they were just eating those insects, the larvae, the insects. Anytime you have that, I strongly recommend folks to not get their fly rod out. If you have a fly rod, great, throw it out there. But make that adjustment. Those flies are like $1.
Right. And you can get them at Joe's.
You can get them at
right?
Joe's. You can get them anywhere. I
Anywhere.
mean, they cost $1.50. I mean, they're super cheap.
Sure.
And they last a long time.
Just as a,
That's the best part. They last a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen, I still have flies from years ago. Dry flies. They're awesome.
And there's a huge difference. If you didn't notice that and we didn't switch to that, it would have been,
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and the kids were like, you got to put bait on it. Nope. And they put that down, the fly down into the water column. All of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
And then we were pulling up bluegills, and they were like, wow, you didn't have to put bait on it. No, because the bluegills, they eat insects, and this little fly looks like an insect.
And anything to up that chance of those kids catching the fish, you'll be on the water a lot longer.
Absolutely.
Because they're not getting bored.
That's right. That's right. What else do we have on here? So bobber system fishing. When it comes to kids, when you're going to bring your kids out, we have videos that are going to be coming out here pretty soon, and we appreciate everyone's patience. We've been working on the editing side of things, so we want to thank everyone for their patience and understanding. We have, and you did a how-to video on clip-on bobbers, spring bobbers, and
Adjustments.
and slip bobbers, then adjustments.
Yes.
So there's like 4 videos right there that are coming out here pretty soon. So the clip-on, it's like a clip-on tie. It's the red and white and red.
But it's Snoopy bobber.
Yeah.
Yep.
Snoopy bobber, like they call it, or
anything that you would think of in a cartoon.
yeah. Those are great, and those are so practical, so simple to use.
And they're cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a 4-pack of those for like $2. Go to Joe's, they sell them there. I think some are 4-packs. You can buy them individually too.
Yeah.
The spring bobbers, the ones that we tried to have the spring, so you have your bobber, like just say it's this, the spring is here, but it actually does this. It'll pull. The spring is actually on the bottom. Then you have the top stem, and we'll get into that. But those are really neat, man. All you gotta do is pull that spring, put your line in there, let it
It's
go.
faster than those round ones. Yeah, those are sweet. Easy to use, easy for the kids to adjust.
Super easy to use. And so for you, you stated that you like using shiners. If I would have to answer the same question, for me, a worm, I can't beat a worm. Can't beat a worm. Worms are like a big old, like a nice chunk of earthworm. But that's when I'm catching, if I want to catch bluegills.
Sure.
So let's just say I want to catch walleye. I've never been walleye fishing. Or let's just say I'm a person that's never been walleye fishing. What do I use? With a bobber. And what kind of bobber?
Right.
What kind of rod? What kind of bobber? What do I...
In the late summer.
In the late summer, yeah. Correct. So if you are a parent, bring your kids out to a local metro lake. First, figure out or do a little research to see if that lake even has walleye. Let's talk about BIPOC, okay, formerly known as Lake Calhoun. They got some big old walleye in there, man.
Got some monster everything in that lake.
I mean, good
It's a gold
Lord.
mine.
There was a lady. I think I might have told you the story. We were upstairs here from our studio here, but there was I was out fishing, and on Demacasca, and I needed to just take a break and use the restroom and stuff like that. So I beached my boat right by the dock. That's on the east side of the lake. Yeah, there's a big old dock right there. So I put my boat to the side, and then I got out and stuff and took a break. I had been fishing all morning. I had been fishing for at least like 5 hours. I needed a break, so I go to the dock and I'm looking at people, and they're asking me, "Hey, how deep it is? How deep is it?" Because I'm in my boat,
Sure.
and I'm like, "Oh, it's 17 feet." They're like, "Oh my God, the 17 feet, that's super deep." And as I'm coming back from the restroom, I see this. I mean, all the people on the dock are like, crowding this lady, and this woman, she was in her 70s, probably late 70s, with her grandson there.
Wow.
Pulled in. I want to say it was at least a 27-inch walleye, 26-inch walleye. It was at least 26.
Oh my God.
Easily. And
That's a beautiful fish.
Mm-hmm.
Right off the dock.
Right off the dock, right in Uptown.
Wow.
Right in Uptown. And it was really cool. They threw it back. They threw the fish back. It was catch and release.
You know what they were using? The bobber and
She was using a spring bobber with your favorite bait.
with the shiner?
With a shiner.
Ah.
Big old shiner. And she lost the shiner, obviously.
Well, we're at the 26, 27.
They swallow those things.
Oh my God.
They swallow. I mean, fish that large, and this is kind of a rule of thumb. So a very large apex predator can eat up to 1/3, about 30% of their own body weight.
Wow.
So if it's, sorry, there's a little fruit flies in here. Sorry, folks. If you got a 30-inch fish, it can eat a 10-inch fish.
That's a good rule of thumb. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we have fruit flies. We have some monster fish. So if you want to catch walleye, let's talk family fishing. You want to go early in the morning. I know it's going to be hard for folks out there because getting your kids up super early, that's tough.
Right.
Weekends are probably better. If you're out and about, dusk is the best time.
Early morning or dusk.
There's early morning or dusk.
And then what depth do you think for?
That if you're going out late, shallow's fine because those fish are shallow.
Sure.
And the reason they're shallow because they're eating. They're chasing around bait, so they're going to be shallow.
Right.
I went to Mille Lacs. God, when was it? I was with, big shout out to my boy Steve Robertson. That's probably tuning in. He and I went out to Mille Lacs, and we were out there, and man, we were out there for like 3 days, 2 nights, and it was late at night, and We were coming off the lake, nice and easy, and this guy was on the dock. It was a gentleman on the dock, and he had this big old flashlight, and he was flashing the light.
Oh, isn't that the best looking?
And there's
for the
just
eyes?
like we're talking hundreds of them, hundreds.
It's awesome.
I was like, you felt like you could walk across
And you don't even
step on the
realize how shallow
walleyes.
they get.
They were. It was like 2 to 3 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, I think maybe the deepest was 4 foot.
Oh man.
Because we were going slow, because we had to, because that was how shallow it was.
Sure.
So it was night, and Steve was like, "Hey, I'm gonna slow down." I'm like, "Yeah, man, slow down." So we were going real slow, and it was dark, and we thought it was a police officer
Oh.
at first, like flashing the light, dude. And I was like, well, "Man, is there a cop over there?" Nope, it was that dude, and he was just flashing. He was, throwing baits out there, and he was catching fish.
Oh yeah.
So that was pretty cool, man. So again,
It's a new way to sight fish. I mean,
yeah,
night sight fish.
night sight
Yes.
fish. I feel that for families that want to get out.
Not practical, probably for young kids.
Yeah, right, because it's late.
yeah.
But here's the thing: as the year, as in October, the sun goes down a lot sooner. So
Yep.
maybe you're still out at around dusk. Bring your family and it's still early, but that sun is lower.
Even if you don't have a rod and you see a dock, go check
Yeah.
out those eyes because it is a cool sight.
That's actually a really good idea. Just bring a high power flashlight and look around, and you'll see those walleyes in there. And people that are listening, they'll be like, "For real?" There was a gentleman on Nokomis. He caught, I want to say it was like a 30-some inch walleye.
Wow.
It's a record on that lake.
Just the sight fishing the eyes and then
I don't know if he was doing that. I think what he was doing is, I think he was just on his lawn chair. He always fishes down there, and he just always uses leeches, and that's what I like.
Sure.
Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about that here, because a lot of, like, a practical bait, waxworms is practical. Corn, very practical. Waxworms, practical. Earthworm, practical. For a long time, I didn't like leeches. I was like, yeah, gross,
Right.
But they are incredibly effective.
And they're actually cleaner than having to dig through those earthworms.
Yes, very much cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. So the reason why leeches are so effective is they're easy to see. The scent is easy to pick up because they release enzymes and pheromones in the water. And one of the other things is that small fish can't eat them, because, like, especially a jumbo leech.
Sure.
So you put a big old jumbo leech on and it's just swimming around. Yeah, it's doing this deal. And those, like, little bluegills, like, if you put a worm and a little minnow, man, those little fish are just going to tear that up.
Right.
They're going to terrorize.
Don't even get a chance to get the big fish because
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. So how do you reverse engineer that? How do you combat that? Well, put a big bait on there. Put a big old shiner. Those bluegills are like, that's the same size as I am.
Right.
I'm not going to mess with you, Put a big old leech on there. That changes the game.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Completely a game changer. So I like to use, me personally, I like to use a slip bobber. And I'm gonna show folks why. We're gonna take a quick break. Okay. All right. Welcome back. Had to take a quick break here. So we're talking about. I took a break because I wanted to get one of my rods and stuff, and
We have a slip bobber on that one.
yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to show folks in the audience, we have a video for this, but why I like the slip bobber system, this is just my preference. It doesn't make it like, this is what I like. It's not the rule or the exception. It's just what I like. And the reason why, so you have your hook. My hook is like right here on the hook rest. But what I really like is I could adjust that depth of that bobber. So, like, if I wanted to, I can make that real shallow with the bobber stopper. I can just go down, and when I throw that bait out there, it's only a foot, maybe a foot and a half.
And you can switch it so easily.
And I can just take my bobber stopper and I can just, go back up. Come on.
So that would be, the slip bobber is your
here.
favorite bobber? Is that
Yeah, the favorite bobber system because I can make adjustments in real time. And the reason why I like that is simply because I think that one of the things that a lot of people miss when it comes to fishing is, and this happens all the time. Let's see if this fish can hold my rod here. Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right, yeah. You'll have 2-3 people fishing. They're using the same thing. A family goes out, right, and they're using this exact same stuff, but one person's catching all the fish.
Because of the depth that they're set at is the biggest key?
That's it. It's where that presentation is in the water column. That's it.
So as soon as you see which one is, does it just adjust the rest of them accordingly?
Grab the other person and say, hey, let me see your rod.
Yeah, and switch it up.
And just compare, make sure everything is even. Your bait is even with theirs.
Sure.
Adjust your bobber.
Sure.
That's the best advice I can give families that are starting out fishing, because we still bobber fish. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing some bobber fishing here when my parents get into town. Because my mom, she has a hard time, casting, but one cast leaves a bait there. And I said, Mom, when that bobber disappears, you have a fish.
Yeah, and when you have a lot of kids with you too,
yes.
You don't want kids casting everywhere.
Correct. For safety.
Yes.
Safety is paramount. Someone gets a hook in them,
it ruins. The day's over.
Yeah. It's
fishing day's done.
Pretty much. And we don't want anybody getting hurt. So that's why it's so important to adjust the depth of your presentation. How do you do that? Check out our how-to series of videos where Abby breaks it down. Man, you break it down. You break down how you do that, and it's as simple as we just talked about. But there's a big difference between the clip-on, the spring, and the slip bobber.
It's so much more seamless.
Yeah, it's a little different on a lot of them. Not like hard. Oh my God, this is harder than that one. No, it's just different.
Right.
It's just different. That's all it is. It's just a little different.
So you were talking about bobber fishing with worms, which is easy. That's a good one for kids.
Yeah.
And bluegills.
Yeah.
What depth and how would you set that up for a family?
That's a great question. So the first thing you got to realize when you go to a lake, any metro lake, there's going to be plenty of bluegills. I would encourage folks in the community to buy octopus circle hooks. They do sell them. You can buy them in a number 8 or a number 6, which means they're really small.
So an 8 or a 6.
The bigger the number, the smaller. It's kind of weird that way.
Sure.
So yeah. So an 8 or a 6 is good. If you can't find those, there's another hook called the Aberdeen hook. Aberdeen hook, and we use those in our classes. What it is that hook has a long shank. The part of the hook, the shank is real long.
Like a tall J.
Yes, a really tall J.
And what brand makes that? Just in case I'm looking at the store.
you can go, man. Like a lot of manufacturers make it. VMC makes it. Eagle Claw.
And then the same size, you think 6 or 8 for
that one? Yeah, same. Yeah, just get a smaller one because. And here's why I recommend that hook. Because when you're fishing with kids, and again, we have our family fishing hat on, right? If you're fishing with kids, you know what's going to happen is the kids are going to gut hook fish. Well, what does gut hook mean? It means that the fish completely inhaled and swallowed the hook, the line, the bait, everything. And you're looking down the mouth of the fish, and it's so small you can't see it, so you're pulling it, trying to get some pliers in there. folks, when that happens, this is our best practice, right? What do we do, Abby? We cut the line. Oh, but Ray, you're going to leave a hook in a fish. It's going to kill the fish. No. You getting into the biology, the physiology of the fish, jamming, taking his guts out with your pliers, that kills the fish.
Right.
That fish swallowing that small hook does not kill it.
And those, they dissolve.
They dissolve. They have an acid. We've done seminars in this, and I think you were part of the seminar where there was a lady that asked about that, and I don't know if you remember what I said to her. She's like, "Well, doesn't that kill the fish?" And I was like, "Ma'am, what are fish made of?" And I don't know if you remember what she said. She's like, "Scales." I'm like, "Yeah, they're made of scales. Yep." But primarily, that's one of the things: flesh and bone. Like you and I am.
Right.
You know, we have hair, we have clothing on, but mostly water, flesh, and bone. Fish are the exact same way. So what do fish eat? Other fish that are made of flesh and
bone.
Correct. So they need a certain type of acidity or acid in their stomach to break that flesh and that bone down. They can do that. We do that, we get constipated or we get sick as humans. So, best practice, gut hook a fish, you and your kids go out fishing, your kids are gut hooking, cut, retie, and let the fish live.
And where can they learn the tie, knot tying?
Bass Tech YouTube channel. Abby goes over, you go over, how many knots do we have? We have the Polymer knot.
Clinch knot.
The clinch knot. And we got to do the improved clinch knot. Ooh. The improved clinch knot.
No, the Bass Tech.
The Bass Tech knot. The Bass Tech knot.
And then you also did it in Spanish.
I did it in Spanish, yeah. So
same knots.
We have another podcast in Spanish. So yeah, it's similar to this podcast, but it's in Spanish. So that's a really cool one. But again, you're out fishing with your family. Keep it simple. Get your basic rod and reel. Go to Joe's. Get yourself some rod and reels. We at Bass Tech are starting our e-commerce store. That's not going to be probably until next year. So folks can buy product from us as well. They can buy product from us. They can buy product from Joe's. Like I said, we're all partners, so we appreciate the support. And that's probably not going to happen until spring. Right. Till next spring.
But then you see the recommended brands and types and sizes.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing not only that, we're also going to be doing product review.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're going to be doing product review. So, like, when you go to Amazon and, you see the little stars, right? Like, oh, man, that thing only has 2 stars. I'm not buying that stuff, We're going to do the same, but we're going to make videos out of the product.
So you can see it right.
So you can hear us be like, man, this pen is not very good, and here's why, and the ink runs out, the grip is kind of... Yeah, you're actually talking to experts in the field that are taking that product and using it in the field to see how it holds up.
And takes the legwork off of everybody else, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. And I like when folks do that. When they save me a lot of time and headache.
Money.
And money. One of the worst things is you're all excited. You buy something and it just stinks.
Right.
And you're just so upset, and you're just like, God.
And you're out on the water, and that's all you have.
Yeah, exactly.
So, absolutely, we'll take those bad baits out of the equation right away, so you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, so count on us, folks, to do all the dirty work for you, all the heavy lifting. But again, that's why we started this podcast. Yes. That's why I started my business. That's why I started the podcast. That's why I started the how-to. To build awareness, to educate folks in the community. That's why we're doing this. So
simplify.
Yes, practical simplification of all kinds of things when it comes to fishing.
Right.
But going back to my favorite slip bobber, big old leech at the end, early in the morning or at night.
And the bluegills, you would say the worm, and then what? Basically every lake has bluegills, right?
Yeah. So.
And would they be shallow?
Yeah, you asked me that. I'm sorry. Let me address your question. So, you asked me, how do I adjust my bobber? That's why we got into that. You asked me that. Well, I always start I always start shallow,
Sure.
and then I work my way. I'll start here. Does that make
Work your
sense?
way
Yeah.
down. And how long do you keep like the bobber in if you don't get anything?
So here's the other thing. Here's
Sure.
the other thing that people need to realize about folks in the community. The longer your bait sits in the water, the better. It releases the scent. You ever walk somewhere and you're like, man, it smells like some, like a restaurant, right?
Right.
Well, the restaurant has that smell because it's been there 20 years.
Sure.
Your bait, or that old shirt that still stinks, why? Because you wear it all the time,
Rehang it in your closet like you do.
Exactly. Bait is no different. You want to be successful when you're out fishing. Encourage your children to keep the bait in the water because it releases scent. Casting it, bringing it back. Trust me, we see this all the time in our programs.
Right.
They want action. If that's what they want, fine, that's great. You're not going to have bobber fish then. I would recommend using more like a little swim bait, a little, oh my God, one of my favorite, little rooster tail or beetle spin.
Right.
But then you're talking about casting.
Yep, and that's a whole different animal.
And that's a whole different animal. And then you're talking who's around.
And sometimes like, getting them to, even if they want to move all the time, do all that stuff, getting them to actually make themselves calm down and be patient enough is just,
yeah.
something that's valuable anyway.
Absolutely. And that's why a good practice to recommend to your kids is, honey, please, if you leave the bait in there long enough, it releases scent and the fish are attracted to it, they'll bite it.
Right.
It might take 5, 10, 15 minutes. So the child is sitting there like, oh man,
Oh yeah.
So
they'll think there's a reward for leaving it in there.
Yeah, well, I think so. I think that's you get so impatient, you just get you're a little kid, you're just like, I want to catch fish,
Yeah. I bring my son out and he puts the bobber down and he looks to see if I'm looking, and if I'm not, he'll reel it in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he'll stop, like he's being patient. I don't know why they think that helps catch fish faster, but they just want to keep moving that.
Yeah, and there is something to that. Like, for example, let's just say you're fishing a fly.
Right.
That's okay to do.
Right, because then you want to.
There's no scent. There's no scent on it. So what happens if you're using a dry fly on a bobber, clip bobber, spring bobber, or slip bobber? What happens? Did say this is the fly. I'm putting the camera. You're on the lake. You have a bobber. That bobber is going to move. It's going to move that bait.
So when
does that make sense? It's going to move that bait.
Sure. Yeah. So it looks like it's going
to look like a bug, kind of moving around. Yeah.
So you can use that without bait, but
you don't need anything.
You can use it with.
You can throw stuff on it, but it might make it a little too heavy.
Sure.
So I recommend using it the way it is.
Sure.
If you don't get any bites, bring it in. Like, cast it out, bring it in.
Change the depth.
Yeah, change the depth. That's another thing. We talked about it earlier. Change that depth, north and south. Make it deeper. Make it shallower or skinny. What we call skinny, which means shallow. Folks in the community will hear everyone uses shallow water. Other folks use skinny water. Skinny water is the same thing as shallow water.
And if somebody were to ask if you were like to move your bait up and down, shallower to deeper, how, like in what increments would you do? Would you do inches?
6 inches?
Sure.
You could exaggerate if you go to and we'll do a video on this. How can you determine depth if you're on a dock and you don't have
a ruler?
A ruler or something. There's a thing. God,
I think isn't like fingertip.
No, it's a weight that has a clip on. I forgot the name. I can't remember. Anyway, it's a little clip. You put it on. You can put it on your bobber, or you can put it on your hook. Clip it on your hook and drop it. Literally drop it. Boom, and then the line will just slide. You'll be like, oh, that feels like the bottom. Mark it with your bobber.
Oh, sure.
Mark it, or just bring it up with your hand and be like, oh my God, that's 8 foot.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's a very simple way, very organic
Sure.
way to like check the depth. If you don't have like a fancy fish finder, you don't need all that.
Right.
Matter of fact, that just gave me an idea. Folks, we're going to make a video out of that. How to check the depth.
Perfect.
So if you guys in the community, folks in the community have a phone, which most of us do, you can go, the DNR has a fish finder, and you can go on there, pick the lake that you want. It'll locate you through GPS. It'll say, oh, Abby Rabine, you're at Lake whatever, Lake Nokomis. And then you can check what they call the contour. It's like a map of the lake.
Sure.
And gives you the depth contour. So you can see it on your phone.
Very cool.
Yes.
So what is it? You go to DNR website?
It is, let's see. I'm not on it right now.
Is there an app or is it just?
It's an app. You
Okay.
can get it on your phone. All you literally here. Let me go to my phone and see if I can do it here. You can just go to your internet, and then you can go to Google or open up a window and put DNR fish finder. Boom. And it's the first one. The second one, it says, first one will say lakes of Minnesota. The second one, it says Lake Finder Mobile. Click on that, and it'll ask you, the DNR would like your current location. Say yes, allow, because it'll determine where you're at, so it can give you the closest lake to you.
Sure.
So
That's a great tool, and it's free.
completely free.
Oh,
Yeah, 100%
great
free.
tool to use.
Yep. So we use it all the time. It's a little, like, it's outdated. It's a little old.
Sure.
There's a little, I don't know, there's bugs to it or whatever, but overall, it's a pretty cool deal.
Shows you where all the accesses are probably, and
Well, you know what? The cool thing about that app, what's more impressive than like the contour lines, meaning like the depth, it gives you the amenities of like the park that you're on. Like it tells you if they have bathrooms, parking.
very cool.
It informs you. It has a fish survey, meaning if the DNR stocks that lake.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the species are on there.
Correct, all of it. Now it doesn't tell you use double wax worms at and adjust your bobber at 4 foot on the weed line. It's not going to be that specific. That's why they call
Sure.
it fishing, and you're going to have to fish and
But
figure
you
it
can
out.
see where a dock would be and look at the contour, right? And then you could see approximately how deep.
How deep it is. So if you see it on your phone, and you see, oh, that line by the dock says it's 10 feet.
Sure.
It may or may not be 10 feet. Let's just say it's 5 to 10.
Right.
Guesstimate it.
Take a little bit of the footage off the guesstimate and then just work
Yeah.
your way from. And
Yeah.
you said start from shallow and then go
Yep.
deeper.
Yep. That's what I always do. Because remember, fish are always going because of the way they're built. They're always going to feed up. Just look how they're built. Look where their eyes are at. Your eyes are in front of my eyes are in front of my face, right? Right here.
Right.
Your eyes are the same
You
position.
don't want to put the bait below them.
Right. Their eyes are here, on the side of their head. They have binocular vision, so they can see like out wide, and we don't. They have crazy peripheral vision. They can't see that well in front of them. That's why
Right.
sometimes they'll back up
Oh, back up
attack-
to inspect and
because of the way their eyes are
Sure.
positioned, and we'll do a show on that later on. More of a science bore. We'll bore people to death with the science part of the fishing of this fishing podcast. But yeah, no, it's really cool. So yeah, late summer is the theme. Get after it. Go to the state fair. Go early and then spend the rest of the time fishing.
yeah. When the last weeks before school starts,
Yeah.
and
It doesn't take much. Get out there, make those adjustments on your bobber system, use different things, try corn, try frozen vegetables. We're going to do a show, Abby. It's going to be something like "Oh My Gatos," meaning "Oh my cats." specifically going to be talking about catfish.
That'd be awesome.
And we're going to be making our own bait.
What was that? What do you call that bait? Where the
stink
bait?
bait?
The worms. Stink bait.
Stink
yes.
bait, yeah. And they call it stink bait because exactly of that, because it stinks. There was a guy, his name's Charles, we call him Woody. He's one of my dad's friends. And he taught me, he's a black man, he taught me a lot about fishing for cats or catfish. I mean, this guy was a guru. I asked him a question, and he knew the answer, and he wasn't making it up. If he didn't know, he's like, I'm not sure about that.
Sure.
He didn't have an ego, but I'm telling you,
He
90% of the time, he knew what he was talking about. And I learned so much from that dude. So I like to give a shout out to him. I haven't seen him in years. Probably
from Chicago, or
from Chicago, where I grew up. Yeah,
cool.
I worked. When I was working construction with my dad during summer breaks when I was in college. My dad would go fishing. I was like, "Hey, how's Woody doing? And how's Woody?" And he's like, "I don't know, And because they're buddies, they give they're friends. They give each other a hard time, But I haven't seen him in a long time. So if anybody knows, I forgot what his last name was. His name's Charles. They call him Woody. He worked for Title Bomb Construction. So big shout out to that dude, man. I love you. Thank you so much for all the fishing knowledge, taking the time to show a kid and passing down that. Because now, because of him,
you can pass it down.
His knowledge that he put into me, I get to share that with the rest of the world, with the rest of the BIPOC
Wouldn't that be cool
community.
if you could have him on your podcast.
Oh,
now?
I would be honored.
Yeah, you guys could have stories.
Maybe we can do something like that. Maybe I can talk my dad into
like a Zoom.
Yeah, maybe I can talk my dad into doing something like that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool. And we were going to be doing that right now. We're just this is our second podcast. We're still getting our bearings, and so we're still learning. We're still evolving, and a lot to come.
Oh man, so much. So much. Change of season, another change of season, and
yes,
exciting stuff.
it is. So I want to end this podcast, but again, big shout out to all the folks in the community, the BIPOC community, for their support. Please like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends about us. We really appreciate the support. Grain Belt Premium. Cheers to those folks. Salud. One more time. The friendly beer.
And swag and trips.
Yeah. Dream Smash.
Packages to come.
Yeah. Dream Smasher Baits. Joe's Sporting Goods. Next episode, I want to talk about, and I don't know if I'm going to talk yet about it, but we may do another late summer fishing, but we're going to talk going into fall fishing. What's to come?
Sure.
And how things change.
It gets exciting.
Oh man, it's fall fishing is the opportunity to catch huge fish.
Trophy fish.
Trophy fish. Yeah, fish that'll scare the living Jesus out of you.
And they're hungry.
Yes, they're very hungry. So with that, my dear, thank you again.
Absolutely.
I appreciate your time. This has been fun.
Every time.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Can't wait till next time, and then we'll hopefully know more about the trips coming. The trip deal coming up.
Yep. We'll get more data on that, more information on that. So more to come, and cheers, salud. Thank you everyone. Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate it.